name is Taylor. I am a financial coach and I help couples create cash flow systems and implement them in budgeting apps so that they can save more money, pay off debt, buy that dream house, or prepare for kids' college expenses, all of those things that you have to think about when you start building your financial life with a partner. So I would love to talk to you guys about how Monarch is a really, really great app for couples to manage their finances. And I think it's a really phenomenal app, and I'm going to show you why. However, I also think that the features for couples being promoted inside Monarch Money, you can see on their website, they're saying it's for couples. And I will tell you, it is a little overstated in my opinion. I don't think this app is necessarily designed for couples. However, it has amazing features that I think a lot of couples will benefit from immensely. But there are some things that might be lacking or left to be desired. And so I want to show you what those things are so you can decide if it's a great fit for you, or if there's anything that might be a deal breaker and you can kind of look elsewhere for your perfect app. But first, I would really love if you guys would tell me why you're looking for a budgeting app for you as a couple. Like, did you come from another app? Is there a feature that you're looking for? What is that thing that you're trying to find? Tell me about where you're coming from and what app you're coming from now and what you're trying to do with an app going forward. And while you're telling me that, I will preface this video as far as this review of this app by saying that a budgeting app is designed to help you facilitate a good cash flow system. It is not there to help you create a good cash flow system. So if you guys, as a couple, have decided to keep your finances separate, which is great if that works for you, but if you're still Venmoing each other back and forth, if you haven't decided who's paying for what, if we're not sure why you're paying for what, if you haven't decided what that split is and why you're splitting expenses and what is an equitable split, all of these things are going to make every app terrible for you. There is no app that's going to help you make those decisions. And so you do need to work on creating a good cash flow system, meaning the account structure, what bills are being paid, who's paying them, why you're paying them, who's saving for what goals, and what accounts are you using, and how much are we contributing to those goals. All of those questions have to be answered in order for any app to really be working for you. Now, the app like Monarch can help you facilitate, the data that you need to make those decisions. Like, it can really help you at least start to get the cleanup, to understand like where it is now so that you can clean that all up, but it's not going to work for you ongoing if you don't sort that out. So tell me in the comments if you decided to keep your finances separate. Are you doing the Venmos back and forth? Are you totally joined? Like, tell me what works for you and your family, what you found, because a lot of people are trying to figure this out. They're trying to figure out what is the best system to manage their finances as a couple, and I'd love to hear some stories from you guys about what you have found works. It would really help a lot of people out. So let's dive into it. I'll show you some of these features and what it looks like to budget with Monarch Money as a couple. So first off, the primary feature that Monarch is promoting for best practices with couples is this ability to flag transactions and communicate about your transactions inside the app. And I was going to show you what that looks like. So if I have a transaction coming in and I'm noticing that I don't know what this is, it's something that my partner paid for, or like it's something that I just don't recognize, what I can do is if I click on this, it's going to open up a menu for me. And that menu is going to have an option down below that says needs review by, and you can assign it to your partner. Now this just says demo user, but you'll have both partners' names in here when you add them to your household. And so if you click on this, it's going to say, hey, it's going to trigger them to say, hey, you need to review this. It's going to send your partner an email. It's going to send them a notification on their phone saying you have a new transaction to review. You can write them a note in here. Hey, what is this? And they can then go into their app or in their desktop and click on the filter for the transactions, go ahead and click on the one that they want to look at and say, oh, this is something I need to review, and my partner's talking to me and telling me, hey, what is this? And so I can click on it, maybe write back, explain what it is, and then press mark as review, and that has been reviewed. It does not notify them that it's been reviewed. Like, it doesn't tell your partner, hey, I redid this. If they happen to look at it again and they can see the note, then that'll help clarify things. But it doesn't, like, there's not true communication back and forth. It's just, hey, you need to look at this, reminding them to take a look at it. When you add them to as a member of your household, you can go to your settings, go to members, add them in here. They have their own login, their own credentials. Everything is their own to manage to share the app, basically. Now, that is really the primary piece of working in a budgeting app together. But there are some really amazing other features here that will still make it a lot easier for you guys. But first off, I want to give you some of the downsides to be aware of so that you can decide if this is the app for you. First off, this dashboard, it does tell you everything you need to know all at once about what your financial picture. You can look at your net worth, your income, expenses, how this month is compared to last year. So you can kind of compare June of 2024 to June of 2023 right here. Just let's show you what did that look like. Obviously this account wasn't around by then, so we don't have data to show you, but you can also put this as a certain person to review this. Here's the downside though. If you can customize this, however, it customizes it for both logins. It is not an individual thing. So you can't choose your dashboard for one person and have a different dashboard for your other login. I do think they are working on fixing this, I think. But that is something that has been a little bit of a complaint, that's not totally unique to each person. The other thing is that you can't really separate your accounts from the other person's accounts. You have all of your cash accounts, all of your credit cards in one section, all your investments in one section. You can't separate it by, separate accounts and then joint accounts. You can't see that level of view. Now you can rename all the accounts though. So you can name them to say Melanie's checking instead of checking account 5512. You can rename it so you can see what the accounts are. You can get some details. If it's joint or not. But it is still all one net worth. It is not going to show you your individual net worth with your joint net worth. And so if you haven't really fully committed to joining your money, that's okay, as long as you're okay with seeing a joined net worth. But if you don't want to see a joined net worth, then this might not be the best app for you. I do think it's easy to work around though. I mean, you don't have to, necessarily have the perfect net worth picture, as long, the joined net worth, if you're in a committed partnership, and that's a really useful thing to see is your joined effort. So that is something that can be a little bit of a downside though. The budget is also a joint effort. It is not something you can necessarily separate out. However, you can create your very customized groups and categories. This is all. You could delete them all. You could add them all. This is completely customized. So what I've done is I've made groups for each partner's expenses. So I have John's expenses and then Melanie's expenses. And you can list all of the expenses. You could put 15,000 expenses in here if you wanted to, or different categories. You could have their own insurance, Melanie's insurance, Melanie's taxes, Melanie's, you could put everything in there so that way you guys can manage your finances separately, but you can still see who's spending on what and how much is going where, and so that you can still be working together towards your joint financial goals. If you have completely joined finances, same thing. You still want to be able to track your own personal spending, or maybe you have separate accounts that you send money to, maybe you both send $200 a month or $1,000 a month, whatever it is for you, to your personal accounts from your joint account every month, so you can spend on whatever you want because it's free money. That's great too. You can track that. So if you send out $200 to John's personal account, you can mark that as John's expenses. It can do that. You don't even have to connect John's account to Monarch. You can just say, hey, I'm sending this to John's account or Melanie's account. So that can be super helpful to help see what your guys' expenses are. And it's also really, really nice to do this before you decide to join finances, so that you can see, hey, how do they spend their money? Where is all their money actually going, before you start actually merging all of these accounts. It provides you the opportunity to actually have really meaningful discussions about where their values are when it comes to spending, and how that can align with your joint goals that you have of travel and buying a home and all of that stuff. But as a reminder, it's still all one budget. You're still budgeting your joint income, and you can assign it to your individual expenses, but you are still budgeting one budget. So that is something that is, again, when it comes to knowing your numbers, knowing what needs to happen as far as a joint household versus what needs to happen on your individual level. This budget will, if you have that in place, this budget will be easy to maintain. If you don't have that in place, then this is going to be a little rough. But another way you can get that data so that you can create a good cash flow system is by going into the reports features, and you can actually filter reports based on someone's account. So if you wanted to just see, what's in Melanie's checking account, what she's spending her money on versus maybe what John's spending money on, you can see the cash flow coming in and out of that account. You can see what they're spending on. So again, gives you that meaningful data so that you can see what's going on with your partner's expenses and how you guys can both join in efforts of going towards those goals. The other thing you can do is you can set up rules so that when, for example, a transaction comes out of one of the partner's expenses, let's say Melanie's checking account, I know is always a Melanie personal expense because otherwise she would have put it on the joint card. You can make a rule so that every single expense that comes out of Melanie's checking account goes to Melanie's expenses. It's just a default. Everything that comes in, you can always recategorize it later, but it can just be set up as the default, so that way this is a little bit more streamlined for you. You don't have to be micromanaging it quite as much. And that's what's really amazing about Monarch, is just this ability to set up rules so that this will be easy to maintain for the both of you. One more thing I forgot is, while the budget is separate, the cash flow does not necessarily have to be. And what I mean by that is, budget is more of like a planning, forward thinking. You're planning your expenses, you're planning what to spend. It's more forward thinking. Your cash flow is more of a retroactive view of where money has went, what has actually happened in the past. And something you can do is, by going into the reports, you can filter reports based on those categories you set up. So if I want to see Melanie's paychecks and how much, all the bills that maybe she's in charge of. So maybe she pays the mortgage and obviously, maybe groceries, and maybe John's in charge of everything else. And then she also, of course, has her individual expenses. You can run a cash flow report to see what does her cash flow look like. And then you can do the same with John. Well, John handles, you can unselect all of this stuff. John handles this, and maybe he handles all the utilities. Like you can, this is very useful reports that you can run so that your cash flow reports do not have to necessarily be joined. It can be separate for you guys. I hope that was helpful in understanding if Monarch is the right app for you, or if you need to look elsewhere for another solution. I'm happy to do more comparison videos in the future if you feel like there's features that you're missing and you're looking for. Let me know in the comments. But again, if you have not created a cash flow system, if you don't know what accounts to use or what's going where, if you don't know what your budgets need to be, meaning what numbers those need to be in order for you to spend guilt-free and still save for your goals, which is what a budget is fundamentally comprised of, then you need to work on that before any app will work for you. And so as a fun note, I do have workshops coming up. So if you want to check out those workshops so that you can figure out what those numbers need to be, so that you can save or spend money in alignment with your values, pay off any debt, save for that home, save for the travel, what do those numbers need to be for you? Let's take a look. Let's talk about it. Join those workshops. They'll get you those numbers as well as get you set up in Monarch Money so that you can manage this for your household. But thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you did decide to join Monarch. If I convinced you that this is a great app, then join. Make sure you subscribe so you can get all the other videos on how to get this all set up so that you can use this and be as successful with this app as fast as possible. So thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to you in the comments and in the workshops if you join us. Thank you.